Today we're going to be going full hack on a 3-litre M3 ECU. So I've got our pit crew mechanic and we've got our hacker, and let's get started. So this is an ECU from the S50B30, sometimes known as the Euro M3. That's the one with the throttle bodies and so on. And today we're going to be opening it up and changing the chip. And I'll show you how we get into this and how we take them apart. It can be a little bit fiddly, but I'll show you all the steps. So the first I'm going to do, give it a little bit of a clean up. And there we go. Beautiful. So to get inside, we're going to need to get rid of these 4 Torx screws, and there is 6 metal tabs to bend back. These are aluminium. There is a chance they can break. Normally you'll get away opening them the first time. Opening them after that, often they will snap off. But these things were never fully water sealed. Damp can get in the side of it. So it's not vital that all of these tabs are on there. Plus you've got these screws that are going to hold it down. So let's get it open. So now we get to our first look inside. So this lid will come off. We have a plastic sheet there. That's just in case the metal lid ever gets pushed down, so they don't want to short anything. And our first look at the board. So this is a double board ECU. So to get in deeper, we're going to need to split that. That in the middle is an expanding rivet, and we need to pull that from the other side. Oh, before I forget, there's also a grounding screw here. This one is the same as the ones used on the case, but you will see the little spiked washer underneath. With that out the way, the center of that expanding rivet can be pinched in and released. And then we also have these 2 little standoffs on either side of the board, and we're going to pop them open now. So it's going to be a case of pulling up on these. And then we'll want to pinch that center expander and it'll start to lift up. And then there's 2 little tabs that go on either side of the board. So this row here is our top board. These 2 are the ones in. And we have a little tab just over here. Bend him out. And on the other side, let me move him across. He's hiding here in the darkness. And that then allows a little bit more bend on that board. What I would recommend doing now is getting your fingers in behind that ribbon cable and pushing the bend forward, and you want to tilt that board to the maximum, like so. And now with him fully angled, he's able to unlatch, but this is probably going to be the trickiest part will come across. So what I'll do is I poke in with a screwdriver and I hit the plastic of that top board, and the idea is to unhook it down and up to take out that top board. It's coming a little bit there, a little bit there, and he's out. So now this will lift up and flip out. And there's our first look inside the complete ECU, complete with Cleopatra's needle there in the middle. So here is our chip, and it's there under this white clip. So he will unhook on either side and come off. And that's our original chip. So the original BMW chips, they will have that silver sticker on the top. This particular one, because it is a 32-pin chip, and of course the silver label on the outside, it does have EWS. So there's a couple of things we're going to do. One of them is get rid of EWS, and we're also going to do some pretty weird tuning. So to get these chips out, you get a flat bladed screwdriver and just go a little bit at each side. So in at the back, up a touch, into the front, up a touch, it's almost out, back to the back again. He's tilting. Let me get that far side. And there he is. He comes up then perfectly with all the legs intact. Now all of these with the 32 pin chip have EWS, as normally you'd expect one of these 28 pin ones. But the 28 pin one will work, and it will fit in the chip, and it will sit that way with our gap on this side between the notches, and these are the pins that we left empty. So let's get a new chip made up. Here's our file, and we need to get the checksum corrected now, otherwise the ECU will recognize it as being corrupt. This is, I suppose, it's a pretty tight ECU. Our program code is at the top here, and it just finishes with these rows of FFs, and then our data area starts there. So what I'm going to do is swipe down all the way through the end of this data block, and where does it come to? 7DFD is our target, and that is it. So that block now, 6ADC to 7DFD, that is all of our data area. Those last two digits hiding at the end is the checksum, and we go to analysis, checksums, checksum 16, okay, and there's our new numbers. So we want to have 81C9 as our checksum. And that's our checksum edited now. So when the ECU does a check on that ROM, everything looks perfectly normal. If there are any changes inside of there and that doesn't match up with the checksum, the ECU will assume that something has gone corrupt. Now in these older ones, the engine would still run and you get a fault code. It might be, I think, 100 and like an internal fault. A lot of newer cars, they won't even start up at all. So what have I done? Well, in this case, what's happened is this particular car is a motorsport car, and it's in something that has a power to weight class. Previously he had an M52, and that was getting up to round about 230-ish horsepower, but he is able to go up to about 250 horsepower. Now, getting the M52, that extra 20 horsepower, could be pretty awkward. The idea is come from the other direction and go for the 3-litre M3 and then pull that back from the 286 to the 250. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle. And what I've done is I have reduced the advance a little bit, and that's in a table further up. So what I've done in this one is I've reduced the advance. It's hiding in here. You can barely see it, but all of these 57s, that would have been part of the full throttle ignition advance. And I'm pulling that back a little bit past 5,500, and that will hopefully bring the power down a bit. It's not going to do everything. One of the things it's probably going to have to do on this is an air restrictor to limit some of the air coming in. And here's our race mechanic to help out. So on these engines, to limit the power, you can't just limit the fuel, because the air-fuel ratio needs to be within a very small, narrow window for it to burn. If you reduce the fuel, you will reduce the power, but it'll then just misfire. You can get it running lean and hotter and causing all sorts of damage. You can pull back the advance a little bit, and that will take some horsepower off, but I'm not expecting it to be doing more than take off 5 horsepower or so. To properly hold this back, what we're going to need is an air restrictor. So there'll be less air coming in. We can still get our air-fuel ratio in the right levels, and that hopefully will hold it back. And there, I just found a picture of one on the internet. This was someone who's looking for a Ferrari GT2 engine, and those metal pipes are the air restrictors. So you'll see the conical pattern of them. They will go down at the sharp pointy end. There's going to be a certain diameter they're at. There's going to be a bell mouth on them. They're made pretty long, as the idea is it's only meant to limit the air at a certain point below the level of kind of saturating that bell mouth. They should still suck in plenty of air to keep that engine going. So the idea is it'll have all the power it needs up until a certain point. Then after that, it'll start choking itself on the air. But the idea is not to restrict it all over, just at the point where it needs to be. There's our new chip ready to go. And we go to our old TL866 and we just hit program. And it doesn't take too long. It's only a small kind of a memory chip, certainly compared to some of the more newer stuff. and our bar is running through, and we're done, and it does a verify and everything's written in good. So with our chip written, now all we need to do is fit it. We're going to have our notch facing up the same way as the notch in this socket. Line him up over his holes, and this is, as we said, this is the smaller 28 pin chip. This is going to be the version without EWS and obviously our detuning. So we're going to leave a gap on this side. So this is where our empty pins are going to go when we switch from a 32 to a 28 pin chip. And we can push him down now into the socket, and that's him ready to go. And we'll stick the clip back on. Now that's only just to stop the chip falling out, but if you've ever levered one of these things out, you know that's never really going to happen. So there we go. We have our immobilizer taken off, as this is going to be an engine swap and he doesn't need to be dealing with all that other bits and pieces. And we have our tuning done in the opposite direction, anti-tuned. So this will all get put back together now, and then we're good to go. And with a bit of luck, his car will be slower. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.